Our next story. Ooh, okay. Do any of you guys own a Stanley Cup? If you own a Stanley Cup, please give me a a cup, some type of cup emoji in the comments. If you own a Stanley Cup, give me a if you own a Stanley Cup, give me a cup emoji in the comments. StreamYard, you can see this cup right here. Instagram, here is a Stanley Cup. Okay, now I remember there was a huge craze over Stanley Cups about a year ago. Everybody was trying to get one. I didn't understand what the hubbub was, but people were like fighting each other over Stanley Cups. But that's your business. If you own a Stanley Cup, particularly if you own any of the travel mugs, meaning the switchback and the trigger action cups, these two travel mugs Stanley Cup has issued a recall because people are getting burn injuries from faulty lids. Since these cups have come out, there have been 91 reports of 91 reports of problems with the lids. 38 of those problems have resulted in burn injuries, and 11 of those 38 have required medical attention. Okay, now, if you want, if you're committed to your Stanley Cup, you can call the company and get a new lid. But what does a story like this do to the brand of Stanley? Because remember, we had people going loco, crazy, fighting each other over Stanley Cups. What does the fact of having this recall with these travel mugs that are causing burn injuries, what does that do to the Stanley Cup brand? Who can tell me? Are any of you going to rush out and buy a Stanley Cup at this point? Round Noonan said, and they have the nerve to be $40 for a cup? Excuse me. I will go to Ross and get me a knockoff for $5.99. All right, but okay, so they're selling these $40 cups, and there's a possibility that I'm going to get a burn injury. What does that do to their brand quality? How does that make them look in the eyes of the public, right? People have been spending up to $40 on a cup that they think is sturdy and fashionable, and it might put you in the hospital. Right? So this is a prime example of brand tarnishment because the quality of your product has diminished. How many of you guys remember when Shea Moisture, they sold the company and they changed the formula and people were complaining about how Shea Moisture was doing their hair, right? Because they did something different and it wasn't providing the results that people wanted. Having a Stanley Cup whose lid is going to pop off and maybe pop you in the eye and give you an unwanted brand, that is something that is going to really just damage your reputation out here as a business. So if you are selling an item that is supposed to be a quality item, you want to make sure that it is truly quality. I don't know where in the process they were testing these cups, but if you have the nerve to be selling these cups for $40, I want you to do a 200-point inspection, just like they do on my vehicle at the car auto place. Round Noonan said it brings down the quality. That's why we have the coffee cup protectors now, because someone got burned. Right. And we are, particularly in America, we're a very litigious society. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is some type of settlement payout for anyone who got injured from these Stanley Cups. And the fact that we haven't heard more about it in the news, I feel like Stanley Cup may be approaching these victims because there's only really 11 of them who required medical attention and maybe settling with them quietly and having them sign an NDA. But I don't know that for sure, but that's what I might do. But be careful with your Stanley Cups out there, okay? Tell your Stanley Cup enthusiast friends.